FerociousWraith.
What is up, my fellow fiends? Welcome back to another video. Now, recently, I had the honor and privilege of getting into the Marvel Rivals closed alpha by, of course, receiving a code from someone who I will not name, but thank you very much if you are watching this video. Thank you. It was hard to get into that alpha, but once we got in there, we had a couple streams, we had some good times, played some games, and now today I got some things to discuss about Marvel Rivals. I got some thoughts I want to get out there. So without further ado, let's get to it. So Marvel Rivals is a first-person shooter that seems to be what Overwatch 2 should have been, essentially. Because essentially Overwatch 2 ended up just being Overwatch patched into being a lesser game experience, essentially. This game feels more like an Overwatch 2 than actual Overwatch 2. Because with this, you got some of the same type of abilities that Overwatch possesses in different styles of gameplay, just presented in different ways, just kind of mixed and matched, essentially. You got all these characters kind of mixed around using the different types of abilities from Overwatch. But it's like, hey, you got Groot, a tank. He's using walls, kind of like Mei, except he's a tank. You got Scarlet Witch, has an attack just like Moira, but instead blows up with her ultimate as if she's Diva. So essentially, what this game does is it keeps the 6 versus 6 meta that the first Overwatch was known for, while also kind of doing its own little spin. It's the same type of objectives. You got the payload that you gotta push to the point, or you gotta capture points and try to control them best 2 out of 3, and what have you. So essentially, this game, I cannot sugarcoat it, literally is a Marvel version of Overwatch, but in third person. But that does not mean it is a bad game, ladies and gentlemen. This is exactly what I think a Marvel needed, because we have not gotten any good fighting games in the Marvel space, nor necessarily shooters either. But this scratches all the itches you could possibly want to scratch, because it gives you all the different characters with all their different abilities working together in synergy. Because let me tell you, the synergy abilities in this game are so cool. The synergy essentially reminds me a lot of Marvel Ultimate Alliance, because these abilities can only be used if you get the right people on your team, and that is one of the best things this game does. But not just that. Overwatch did not have destructible environments. This game does. And man, does it feel cool to fight over some points and get into some buildings and then blow them up and literally have chunks of the buildings affecting your field of view. Because damn it, you are a superhero. You are fighting. Chaos is ensuing. Of course there's going to be some destruction. And that is just one of the greatest things I've seen this game do so far. It really makes you feel like you're fighting an all-out civil war, but maybe orchestrated by the higher-ups in the universe, you know what I mean? The gameplay feels real smooth. I really like how every character feels for the most part. Each character that shoots projectiles tends to work pretty well. And then you got a couple melee characters. And that's sort of where I start to question a little bit of it, because you got a character such as Magic that is absolutely perfect for melee, does just about everything you could possibly want. But then you got my boy Spider-Man, and my god does this guy struggle. He literally is one squishy son of a bitch, because man, his attacks are not all that elusive unless you just swing around like a crazy maniac, and he just doesn't do enough damage, nor does he have enough health to feel viable when you got a character in comparison such as Hela, who could just whip out these knives at the speed of light. And you're just sitting there as Spider-Man going, well, what am I doing wrong? Like, I'm doing all my attacks and I'm planning everything, but then you just get deleted in 2 seconds by a character like Hela. So, this is where the game starts to have faults, right? But that's okay because this is a closed alpha. And that's why I want to say that characters such as Spider-Man, characters such as Black Panther, characters such as Magneto have certain abilities that I feel could be tweaked. Especially, from what I understand, the Black Panther hit detection on his dashes are pretty atrocious, according to my buddy Kurt Crimson. Shout out to Kurt Crimson. But Magneto has this ultimate where he shoots this little ball out at you, essentially. But it has to be a direct hit or else it does nothing. But then you got Iron Man. Same type of ability, and it absolutely murders anyone that's close. And another one, Hela, same kind of ability again, except, ooh, she gets to go up in the sky and just rain down destruction as if she's like a kill streak in Call of Duty or something with a helicopter. But Magneto, what does he do? One little rock, and if you miss, you fucked up. There's no other way to put it. By the way, I am sick. If you heard a little cough, if you think I sound a little different, I am sick. So, I'm recording this coming out of a bit of a cold. So, bear with me. But anyway, I had a real blast with Marvel Rivals. I do think they need to tweak a few things. The sound design could be a little better when you're trying to take some objectives, or when it's nearing the end of the push point, when you're trying to push the payload, but you can't even really tell that they're close. And even if you do, you know the whole C9 thing that people talk about? Well, it seems as if people, if they even take one little footsie away from the payload, it's a C9. And I think they need to maybe tweak that just a bit. Make it a little harder for the attacking team, because as it stands now, the C9 type of thing, going off the point and letting the other team score, is way too easy for the attack team. But you know, these are all just kind of technical things. I want to go over some things that surprised me. I genuinely thought Doctor Strange would end up being a healer, because, you know, in a lot of games I've played, he's been a healer that kind of supports his teammates. Well, nope. In here, Doctor Strange is a tank, and he's a beast. Man, I had a couple MVP games as Doctor Strange. He feels really good. At first I thought he was maybe a bit slow, that his attack was slow, but my goodness, he packs a punch with each hit. So I really love what they did there. How he builds up dark energy and he can just unleash it. Man, like, a lot of the characters feel really good, and that's why I hate to single him out, but man, Spider-Man, he just doesn't seem viable and comparable to some of these other characters that are way more, you know, easy to use, whereas Spider-Man, if in the wrong hands, I suppose, is a complete detriment. Like, it sucks, because he's a detriment in my hands too, trust me. And I feel bad about that, because I really would have wanted to play a lot of Spider-Man, as I'm sure a lot of you would too. And he's that one character you gotta get right. If you don't get Spider-Man right in a Marvel game, then something is definitely wrong. So I do hope they tweak that a little bit. I hope they have a PvE mode so that you can actually team up and fight some AI and, you know, just chill out with your buddies. But overall, my experience was pretty fun, though there were a lot of technical issues. This was probably the first game that really made my PC go, I don't like you. Like, I had a lot of crashes. I had some very choppy frame rates. Every time I'd go to the mission screen, or the replay screen, essentially, so where you could view your allies' greatest plays, every time I would try to load that, it would really mess up my stuff and overload my encoder and OBS when I was trying to record, and it's like, man, this game is needing a little polish there, but that's okay. Again, this is not to criticize the game for being a complete product. It is more so just, these are things that I just want them to iron out for the full release, essentially. But essentially, yeah, this is, I will say once again, Marvel's Overwatch 2. Anyway, guys, that is all I got for you today. I almost threw up while pausing my recording, but if you could wish me get well soon, even though I might be better by the time this video releases, I'd really appreciate it. I appreciate all the positive vibes, all the comments. Really love me some interaction, so if you could leave a comment, I'd really appreciate it. Like the video, share it with your friends, and as always, stay ferocious, my fellow fiends.